Greetings from St. John's Jesuit High School and Academy. This is the inaugural episode of Titan Talk with myself, Mr. Amir Harani, and alongside me, Mr. Adam Dane.
Hello.
As the first episode of Titan Talk, we thought it would probably be important and appropriate for us to explain the mission of the podcast a little bit and to introduce ourselves to the audience. So, Mr. Dane, if you wouldn't mind telling us a little bit about yourself.
I would love to. So my name is Adam Dane. I have been involved at St. John's for a while. I'm a 2002 graduate, so an alumnus, and I currently am a member of the faculty at St. John's Jesuit. I've been teaching here for about 9 years. I currently teach English, although when I started, I was teaching Latin, and I've dabbled in a bit of social studies as well. So I've done a lot of different things, I suppose, in the classroom. I'm also currently the director of our Distinguished Scholars Program. So I have a lot going on at St. John's, and I've been involved for a while, and I love it here.
Very nice. I actually remember you as a teacher during my time here. I took one of your Ancient Civilizations class. That was a blast.
Yeah, so much fun. I remember.
So a little bit about myself. I graduated from St. John's in 2013. I went to the academy as well. After I graduated from here, I went to University of Toledo. I got a degree in computer science, engineering, technology. Then I decided I wanted to come back home, so I now teach Intro to Engineering classes at St. John's. This is my second year doing that. I also am the associate for the 2020 program and the Christian Service Office, so I actually have some pretty solid perks alongside with my job. I get to help out with LABRA. I get to do domestic service trips like West Virginia, the Appalachian trip, so I really enjoy my role here at St. John's. So now that we introduced ourselves, Mr. Dane, if you wouldn't mind letting the audience know a little bit about, what this podcast is about, what are they going to be hearing?
Absolutely. So Mr. Harani and I think that there are so many wonderful aspects to St. John's Jesuit that deserve celebration. So we wanted to design a podcast that would allow other members of our community, students and parents and alumni, and even people considering St. John's as a potential option for educating their children. We just wanted them to learn more and hear more about all the amazing things that we do here. So through the course of our podcasts, as we release them, we're going to examine, investigate different programs and aspects of the school that maybe people don't know that much about. And we'll hear from some of the other members of our faculty and staff and administration. And we'll hear from some of our students and just kind of get a nice glimpse into this wonderful place that we call home.
Well, it's such a big school, right? And we have a large culture that comes with our school, so there's a lot to talk about and a lot for people to get information on. So hopefully during your time listening to this, you can learn a little bit more about us, learn a little bit about what it means to be a Jesuit school, a little bit about our history in Toledo, and some programs that we have. So we're going to go ahead and move on to our first segment.
The Freshman Feature, a part of the program we designed to hear a little more about the interesting lives of our ninth graders. So why don't you two introduce yourselves?
I'm Justin Teamer. I am a freshman, and my hobby is I like to play basketball. I like to play video games, and I like to read a little bit here and there.
Very nice.
Especially articles.
Nice. And alongside you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
My name is Jacob King. I'm another freshman here at St. John's. I guess I'm in wrestling, track, and football. That's what I'm really looking forward to for the next couple of years.
Very nice. And you're also the freshman class president, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yes, sir.
So we just got a few questions for you guys today, just so we can get to hear a little bit about yourselves. And so our listeners can, know what some typical freshmen are like.
Yeah.
So can you guys tell me what middle schools did you come from?
I came from St. Benedict Catholic School.
Okay.
I went to Harvard Elementary, and I guess I came here to the academy, so I've been here for a pretty solid while.
Were you in the academy since 6th grade?
Yes, sir.
Nice. Okay. So you've been here for 4 years. Wow. Very good. What made you guys come to St. John's for high school?
I like the brotherhood here, and we're all here for one another. And they also have a good education here. and the education is really nice, and they push yourselves. And also, when you get pushed, it's nice because you can like find new boundaries you can go to, and also the people around you want yourself to succeed, like teachers and students here.
That's a great response. Pushing the envelope.
Jacob, what about yourself?
I guess for St. John's, I just really, really like the environment. Everybody around you, they're just always positive. They want you to really move forward. And that's what I really like about the school. They want you to move forward. They want you to become better, not only for yourselves, but for everybody else around you. They kind of want to make the environment like really, really nice. They try to really enforce that. The school is really, really lenient with a lot of things, and they kind of give us a lot of freedom. And it just shows that we're really, really like nice and like just together. We have like a bond. I see coming here through being at the academy since the 6th grade, meeting a lot of different people, and even watching them come and go. It's really, really nice here, and I really, really enjoy myself, and I enjoy being pushed and waking up, coming to school, and knowing that I'm going to have a good time, and knowing that I'm going to push myself a little bit harder than I did the day before, and me just knowing it's better for me, even though it may seem like it's not at the time. It's actually benefiting me, and I've seen that through going to the academy.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, very nice. Well, it sounds like both of you have had some pretty good experiences so far. Is there anything specifically about your freshman year that you've really enjoyed so far? If there's a specific class or a specific teacher or a trip or a sport or anything like that?
Freshman year has been really well. You really get to branch yourself out in high school, and that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to do as much as I can before college, and St. John's gives you that opportunity. So it's like, I've recently just taken up being a part of the debate team. I've never really thought of that. Coming here, never really thought of that. But now I'm St. John's, and I'm joining the debate team. They push you.
That's great.
Different places.
Debate's tough,
right? And I was really like thinking I was going to play like sports here, and that's all I was going to do. But St. John's will expand your boundaries here, and that's what I did.
Very nice. Jacob, what about you, man?
I guess just like staying at the academy, kind of going through everything, like seeing how everything was, how things really ran with the teachers, and kind of being a part of some of the high school classes. I saw that this was kind of the place for me. I really, really enjoy myself being here. Freshman year, it's been really, really nice. I recently joined the wrestling team, and
Wow, that's a tough one.
Yeah, I didn't see myself doing that. I wouldn't have seen myself doing that. And it was pretty tough at first, but I'm really, really happy I did open myself to growth, and kind of stayed open-minded about it.
Yeah.
I really, really like that about the school. They kind of push you to do things, even if you're kind of shaky about it, and you kind of really don't have anything to lose by trying out something new. And I really, really enjoyed being a part of the wrestling team. And one thing that I see in all the sports is that they're like the brotherhood. It kind of goes through along with everything, like not just in the classroom, but with the sports and the different clubs and the teams that you're on. Maybe the bond that you form with your teachers, just different things like that. I think it's really, really nice.
Very nice. And
yeah, that's great.
We just recently had a tournament here for wrestling. Did you take part in that? It was maybe 2 weekends ago?
Yeah, the CIT Catholic Invitational Tournament. It was one of the biggest tournaments I've ever been to, and the little I've been in recently.
Yeah.
But there were around probably 35 different Catholic schools from all over Ohio that just came to the school and played, and it was really, really nice.
That's great.
Yeah, that's awesome. My understanding is you guys all had mass together as well in the gym. That seems pretty awesome. The parking lot, I drove by that day. I didn't have a chance to come in, but parking lot was
packed.
Yeah,
it's always a big deal. Do you think wrestling something you'll do as you continue at St. John's?
Yeah.
All 4 years?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
That's great. How about debate, JT?
I mean, I'm
sticking with it?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's really going to broaden my horizons a little bit and, see what I could do.
What's your topic this year?
I mean, I haven't really went to like a practice yet, but I'm looking forward to it and seeing what I can do.
Getting into it. I see what you're saying. Yeah. Nice.
And I heard their season's come to an end, but they said they're going to prepare me for next year. And that's gonna be really
they have a long season, a couple months. That's great. Well done.
Yeah, so I think we've heard a lot, a lot about what you like, a lot about why you chose to come to St. John's, but I mean, in reality, not everything's always super
Right.
bright and super
Yeah,
light.
freshman year is a big transition.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. I mean, I remember my own. I was never talented in arts. I remember taking some art classes and just struggling through them
challenges.
a little bit. Yeah. What about you guys? Is there anything that maybe you're struggling with a little bit so far this year, or maybe something that you're struggling with that maybe you didn't expect your own self to be?
It's not really I never really struggled with anything, but something that I really had to adapt to is checking my emails periodically, taking Power
yeah.
School, because teachers move things and add things at different times of the day or year. And you got to really look at that, because I don't like any surprises going to school. So you don't want to forget your iPad.
Yeah.
Or
So a little bit on the organizational side.
Yeah,
Right.
School's complicated these days, right? You have to check
Yeah.
20 different websites. You got to make sure everything syncs up.
Yeah. Well, back
Yeah.
in the day, we just had the chalkboard with
Right.
this is due
Yeah.
and when, and we'd write it down in our planner.
Or maybe just a comment
yeah.
at class that you had to catch. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of benefits there, but it's complex. You got to keep track.
Yeah. Jacob, and yourself, any struggles or anything that you faced this year that maybe you weren't expecting?
I would say just kind of keeping track of everything. I really don't have any room to complain. I know what you mean. It's not always light and bright, but kind of just keeping up with the grades and making sure everything's moving pretty smoothly. Yeah. I really, really like it. We really don't have too much to complain about.
Do you think you have a unique perspective because you went to the academy? Did you find that the transition from the academy to the high school was smooth?
It was pretty nice, yeah, considering I took a couple of the high school classes, going to some of the classes with the high school students. It was pretty nice. And playing the sports, I remember over the summer we had a football retreat, and I didn't know what to expect out of it. Okay, we're going on retreat for a couple of days at a college university with a lot of upperclassmen. There's some new freshmen coming. I don't know how I'm gonna kind of cope with a lot of different people, how the practices are gonna be like. But it was really, really, really nice. I really enjoyed it, and I think a lot of the other freshmen enjoyed it too. It was one of the best times I've ever had at this school, and just seeing that when we kind of come together and talk with each other and just play and just basically anything. We had a little room with a pool table and a TV. They had 2K in there, and everybody came in there to chill. We ordered pizza, sat down. We talked about the practices when we had the 3 practices a day, and it was really fun.
Wonderful.
Cool. Do you still talk to any of the upperclassmen that you met during that retreat?
Oh yeah, I talked to a lot of them. For sure. They were the ones that kind of told me if I wasn't going to do anything over the winter time, maybe try out wrestling. And that's exactly what I did. I went to go talk to the wrestling coach, introduce myself. And other than that, I just joined the wrestling team and started going to the practices.
Very nice.
Yeah, very nice. That's great. Okay, I think we have one more question for you here. So what could you tell a prospective student to St. John's, somebody who's considering St. John's as their high school choice? Why should they come here?
Well, obviously, St. John's has a great education system. But if you want to go more than that, we work hard, we play hard, and we pray hard. You work hard because, they push yourself beyond the boundaries you want to. Like, for example, me, who joined the debate team, is broadening my boundaries. We pray hard because we have at least one mass a month, if one is optional, you can really grasp praying hard and learn about Catholic religion, because I'm not Catholic, and I'm learning about it more and more.
Yeah, and
day.
praying before matches or practices or anything like that as well.
Right. And we also play hard because coaches here really push yourself during the practices, the games. During the football season, we had a thing called Kinder Connection, and that really put your mind over matter, and you got to push yourself through different things you had.
Yeah. Explain to us what that is.
Kinder Connection. So it's basically you had to.
I hear some giggling going on here.
Right. It's like when we wouldn't do what we were supposed to do. They have us get in a circle, either chop, down, get up, do it over and over again,
Okay.
and do a certain number of push-ups in holding us in the positions, and also running around the field goal post and the band thing, like running around
Yeah,
there.
so a
Sounds
little
like
bit of
brutal conditioning.
Yeah, a little bit of conditioning there, huh?
Yes, he had
Yeah.
an army background too, so that had to
Ooh,
play in it.
oh, well,
Yeah,
that'll
he
knew
build
what he
you
was
up.
doing, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Positive
Definitely.
reinforcement, they called it.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
It's a good term.
All
Use
right.
that in the classroom.
Yeah. Do some laps around the classroom a few times. Jacob, what about yourself, man? What do you think?
I think I really suggest St. John's to a lot of people. I think to come to St. John's, you have to really be open-minded, though. You can't come here and you can't just be so concealed and, like, I guess I was like that. Okay, I'm going to come here. I'm going to do this. I'm probably not going to do this or this, or I'm going to stay away from this club, or you got to really, really be open-minded, because I think that you can really find something, or like kind of even find yourself doing something that you just probably wouldn't ever picture or even think about doing if you just come here and kind of stay open-minded and allow yourself to be formed into something new. I know with Mr. Welling, for sure, him being a really, really nice
Yeah, the
teacher,
legendary.
Mm-hmm.
Really good.
he really, really kind of, I could see him getting us into shape for the rest of high school.
So do you think there's something here for everybody?
Yeah, you just have
Of
to.
course.
You have to be open-minded, though.
Yeah. Put
Nice.
yourself out there.
Put yourself out there.
Yeah, you might not always know what you want, but we've got a lot here to offer. Well, I want to thank you two gentlemen for coming out and for letting us interview you, ask you a few questions during your lunch period, nonetheless.
Absolutely. It's
You're
a big
welcome.
sacrifice
Definitely.
for these days.
definitely.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
And once again, that was.
Justin Teamer.
And Jacob King.
Thank you guys for coming out.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Our next segment features a unique aspect of our community, one of our artistic facets of the community. So we are here with members of our band program. We have the director of bands, Mr. Tim Martin. How you doing, Tim?
Doing well. How about you?
Great. I'm doing very well. Thank you. And we're also here with one of our seniors, Gabe Jacoy Williams, who is our field commander for the marching band, a member of the drum line. How you doing, Gabe?
Doing pretty good. How about you?
I'm doing great. 2 months left for you. How you feeling?
Ready for college?
Ready for college.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
answer. Very nice.
2 months makes it seem a little bit longer than. Like I feel like it's down to like 3 weeks at this point, right? Like
Yeah,
maybe 2
it's-
months of time, but
yeah. I
3
guess we
weeks
have-
of school or something,
right.
like 20.
You're right.
We have
Unreal.
what, spring break, and then
But you're done.
2 more weeks, and then
Wow.
man.
So you see the light, huh?
Yeah.
Near the end. Awesome. Well, I think we should have you guys tell us a little bit about your program. So, Mr. Martin, as director of bands, could you tell us a little bit about your role at St. John's Jesuit? What do you do here?
Yeah,
what
absolutely.
does it entail?
So, as a director of bands, I oversee the band program, which includes our concert band as our main ensemble. We have all of our instruments in there. That kind of branches out to our marching band, which is what most people end up seeing in the fall. And in the marching band, we do competitions through the fall. So we actually do a little bit more prep than other bands would on a normal basis. So we actually start all of our stuff in rehearsals in June. So we technically go from June until November 1st.
Nice.
And then we also oversee the indoor drum line, the winter guard, the pep band, any kind of jazz combos we can put together, things like that. So
That's great.
Yeah,
A lot
so
of activity.
If you were to join the marching band, are you also making a commitment to pep band and to
you'd only be making a commitment to concert band.
concert band?
So if you're going to do one, you got to do the other.
Okay.
All the other ones are optional and they're audition based, except for pep band.
Oh, okay, very nice.
Yeah, that's great. Gabe, do you want to tell us a little bit about your role, your participation in the program?
Yeah. This year I was selected to be the field commander for the
Field commander.
Yep, field commander.
Like a 5-star general out there, huh?
Right. Yep.
Nice.
Which basically just conducts and keeps the band in time, so they don't get out of time.
Yeah.
And basically the student leader for the whole band. We do have another
Mhm.
leader, sort of like my position, called it's the corps commander,
Mm.
led by Hannah Ahmad. She goes to NDA, right?
Yep.
Right.
Okay.
It's basically the same position, same sort of power, only she marches. So
Oh, I see.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Those are
He's upper
exciting
management,
titles. Yeah,
so he doesn't have
you're
to
the
do
brass,
marching.
huh?
Yeah.
You're up there. All right, that's great. Very cool. And then in drumline, you do drumline as well.
Yep.
Okay.
I do drumline for 4 years.
Awesome.
Been the front ensemble all 4. It's basically where we just stand there and play like pitched percussion instruments like the marimba, xylophone, vibraphone. This year I've been playing the marimba, and I'm technically the center marimba, the most experienced one. So
Okay, I see.
And did you do marching band for 4 years as well?
yes, yep.
Okay. And what about prior to St. John's? Did you go to the academy? What middle school did you
I went
participate in any
to
band programs?
Trinity Lutheran School.
Okay.
So I participated in their band program from 5th grade all the way up to 8th grade. I actually played the alto saxophone
Okay.
during that. So, and just recently, just last year, I switched over to the tuba for the marching
Wow.
band.
That's not an easy feat going from
No.
like reed to brass, right?
It was not.
Check out your knowledge of instruments.
Yeah, well
Yeah,
done.
well,
Didn't know we were dealing with a
Terminology.
professional over here.
Yeah, I had a brother who went through the band program during his time here at St. John's, so I picked up on a few on a few terms.
Well done.
Thank you. So how did you hear about the St. John's band?
Both my brothers actually went through the band program
Oh, okay.
here, and for my freshman year, and I basically decided I wanted to be part of the band as well. And my brother Ryan was a senior the year I was a freshman, so he was going out the year I came in, so it made the transition into high school and into the band program a lot smoother.
Yeah.
So, and I think it was basically because he was in band that I wanted to do band as well, especially the marching band. So,
And you stuck with it all 4 years.
yep.
Awesome. Must have been a great experience.
Yeah.
So, speaking of the drumline, we're in the drumline and winter guard season,
Mhm.
correct?
Yeah.
Are you still competing? You still have more competitions?
Yeah, we actually have one this Saturday.
Nice. Where's that?
Firestone High School in Akron.
Ooh, traveling.
Yep.
Are you finding that you're traveling a lot for these? Is there a lot of local stuff?
We travel longer distances, about 3 times generally a year. We
see.
do a Columbus show. We might do a couple Columbus shows. We got one out in Akron, and then we have state championships over in Wapakoneta.
Oh, okay. Wow. Nice.
How many people are usually competing at these competitions? Maybe not people, but schools.
A lot. It's divided into the drumline side and the winter guard side.
Okay.
And both have a plethora of schools and ensembles that compete. You actually have ensembles that come from schools like us
Okay.
that do it on the scholastic side. Then you have kind of what we call independent ensembles that are just a bunch of people that just decided to get together and do this thing, and they compete against each other and pay a lot of money to do it.
Yeah. That's
So,
neat.
Yeah.
So I had the pleasure of going to one of these drumline competitions. I didn't get to stay for the winter guard part, but I got to see the drumline competitions at Springfield a few weeks ago, and I got to say, extremely impressive, very high level of performance, stunning narrative. You're
Yeah.
telling a story while you perform. I'm kind of curious about the creative process. Who plans out the choreography? Who plans out the programming? How well did the kids take to it?
Yeah.
Because it's very complex.
The process of actually, picking the show or putting the show together, it's a humongous feat between the entire staff of the band program.
Yeah.
We got myself. We've got Julie Meyer with the color guard. She does a lot of the drumline's visual side of stuff. I've got Nicole Sarver in there. We've got Trey Jones in there. We've got a guy named Sean Collins coming in to help out. We've got different people coming in and out just to help with things.
Yeah.
And it's really just this collaboration of ideas. At the beginning of the season, we think, who do we have in our ensemble? What are their experience levels going to be like? What do we think that they can achieve by the end of the season that's going to challenge them but is still achievable? And then we kind of go from there. Last couple of years, we've kind of gone in a direction of a storyline show.
Yeah.
Some shows are storyline like ours. Some shows are thematic based.
Okay.
So we'll take this one idea and just showcase that idea as many times as we can. So this year we're doing a story about a soldier coming back from war who has PTSD.
Yeah.
And we kind of follow his story about what that experience is like coming back home with his wife and the struggles they have in their relationship. And his mind, taking him back to war episodes and all that kind of stuff. And
Yeah, it was powerful. I mean, it was an intense performance, I think. So are you saying, are the competitions throughout the season kind of a structured way to improve on this, and then you're kind of shooting for that final end of the season performance?
Yeah, we do our auditions in late October-ish, somewhere in there, early November, and then our first competition isn't until late January. So we kind of put the stuff together throughout that amount of time, put as much of that show on as we can while we're still developing the performers, the way they play, the way they move, the way they actually, showcase their emotions and perform. And then we finally get our first, we call it a read. We get our first read of the show at our first show this year was in Columbus, and the judges that we have kind of give us some feedback. We sit down with them after the show and they say, yeah, good job, keep it going, or here are a couple things to change, or you're completely ruining things, or
Yeah.
Yeah. So it seems like there's a lot of prep and a lot of practice to this, Gabe. How many like hours are you putting into this?
Like weekly, we have 2 practices on Sunday and Thursday.
Okay.
On the Sunday one, it's a 4-hour practice from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. And the Thursday one is not as intense. It's only 3 hours.
Okay.
Only 3 hours. But other than that, I have first period free, so I actually spend that time practicing. Like, basically, since the beginning of indoor season, I've been using that period to
Very nice.
help.
Yeah,
keep
spending
myself.
time outside of practice and
To practice.
yeah.
Yeah.
going about your passions.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a good way to do it. Do you find a lot of other of your peers are doing the same thing?
Yeah.
Putting in the
Yep.
time. So the
Especially
Thursday, Sunday is really when the group comes together and has to put it all together,
Yeah.
which is important.
it's a lot of
Yeah.
structured sectional time, and kids
Yeah.
just get together and call each other, say, hey, can we practice
That's
stuff?
great.
Can you open a practice room for us so we can do this?
Yeah. That's awesome. I think that's so cool.
So how has the drumline been doing this season? Have we had any pretty high placements, I'm guessing, at the...
Yeah, for the drumline, we've seen, I think it's actually all been first place and then 1 third place finish so far. They've all been kind of smaller shows, not as many people. We'll see 3 ensembles on Saturday, and then at state championships, I think we have a total of 7 or 8 ensembles that we'll compete against. Last year at state championships, the drumline got our first, we call medal, got 3rd place in the state last year in our class.
Wow.
Very nice.
Just, it was 2 years after bumping ourselves up a class. So we also got a most improved award 2 of the years since we bumped up. So
how do you bump a class? Is class based off of like population of like school, or?
So for marching band, for one of the circuits we compete in, it is based off a population of school. For the indoor drumline and winter guard side, it's the director actually chooses what class you start out in. There's 4 main ones. You got world class, which is the top tier of everything, open class, A class, regional A, and then you've got like novice classes underneath that. So the winter guard performs in and competes in regional A. The drumline currently competes in A class, but I'll also say that on the guard side of things, regional A for our circuit is the most competitive class out of anything.
Wow.
There's, like last year, there were 16 groups, I think, something like that, all competing against each other. The winter guard went out of state championships, and they were 0.7 away from 4th place. They were 6th place. They were 0.7 away from 4th place, and they were 700ths of a point away from the next group up.
Jeez.
Like, it was crazy just how close these things get and
yeah.
how competitive they really are. Yeah.
Wow. So Gabe, you've been in the band for a while now. You've been in the drum line for a while now. How do you think this has like enhanced your experience here at St. John's throughout your time?
I mean, I'd say it's given me a family, plain and simple. I mean, coming into freshman year, I really only knew one person that was my brother, Ryan. So, but through him and through becoming friends with his friends and then making the band my own after he left, it's really just given me people I love, and people who share my same passion for making music and competing, who share the same competitive spirit as me. And it's just giving me a place to fit in. So
That is great. What more can you ask for?
yeah,
That's great. I feel like there are a lot of those little communities around here.
Oh yeah.
You guys who do the band and drumline are a particularly cool one. I like that. Mr. Martin, in your directorial role or faculty role or, your mentor coach role, how do you think this program kind of lifts up the students?
Oh, it gives them a place to belong for
Mhm.
sure. Every morning we'll walk in the band room and you'll see kids just lined up, waiting for the band room doors to open just so they can be in the band room. They'll come down during their lunch periods. They'll be there after school. We joke about it, but it actually does become like a second home.
Yeah.
Which is the exact same experience I had when I was in high school. Gives you a place to belong, and gives you something to look forward to even after school's over. To say, even if we've got no rehearsal or no one's here, I can at least feel at home in the band room.
Yeah, I think that's such a cool, important aspect. I have to say, as a teacher in the classroom, the perspective of musicians always tends to be particularly creative and nuanced, and they see the world a different way, in a positive way, too. I think that's an awesome feature, too, because it's just such a highly cognitive activity, playing music, so creative. I don't know. I think it's so cool.
Yeah.
That's great. So as we finish up here, maybe I feel like more people should be seeing what I got to see a couple weeks ago. How do you think people can support the program here at St. John's Jesuit?
The easiest way is honestly just to click on Facebook. You can find St. John's Jesuit Bands on Facebook. We put up posts of the competitions, pictures, results, new infos and articles and things like that to share out that way and put out some good information that way. Also, feel free just, find one of the performers and tell them good luck before they're going to go to a show, or if you went to go see a show, tell them how well they did and how great the show was if you think so. A lot of the times it can feel isolated, especially with the literal location of the band room, just not surrounded by anything. So they oftentimes, I'm guessing, feel pretty isolated and kind of in their own world, which isn't always a bad thing. But we'd love to have some more people kind of give them a shout out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very nice.
Great.
Gabe, what would you say to any maybe 8th graders or potential incoming freshmen? What would you say to them who are maybe interested in joining the band next year?
I say there's no harm in signing up. We have a form for prospective new members coming into the high school. Even for the academy students, they can join the band, and it's welcome for all. So, like the marching band, there's no there's no what's it called? Auditions for it. So anyone can join. No experience is necessary for it. So it gives you a family. It helps ease your way into the life at St. John's, and it's a great experience.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well,
fantastic.
I want to thank both of you for taking the time out of your day. I know you guys probably have to go to practice right now.
So,
enjoy that. Thank you for coming out, and
thanks for having us.
Yeah,
beautiful.
Our pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good one, guys.
You too.
We're going to take a quick break to hear a message for any prospective families considering St. John's Jesuit as the next step in their son's education.
4 years. It goes by faster than you can imagine, leaving precious little time for a young man to decide what he wants to be when he grows up. Whatever door your son wishes to walk through, the key to opening it is a rock-solid educational foundation. At St. John's Jesuit High School and Academy, 96% of our graduates go on to also graduate college. And more importantly, go on to be whatever it is they want to be in life. St. John's Jesuit. Be a Titan.
Our next segment is called the Student Spotlight, where we feature one of our students at SJJ to learn more about their lives here. So we're here today with senior Connor Cadigan. Connor is very involved here at St. John's Jesuit. He is a member of our chorus, our vocal ensemble. He rows with the crew squad. He is in our musicals for the past 3 years. What I miss, Connor? Christian Service Corps team. The list goes on.
Yeah, that seems about it.
Okay. How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks. So we have Connor here today because Connor in addition to doing all the wonderful things he does at St. John's Jesuit, is also interested in pursuing some of his passions outside of school, which involves filmmaking and screenwriting. Is that correct?
Yes.
Nice. And recently you submitted one of your own works to the Maumee Film Festival.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, called Elfie, which is what we're here to talk about a little bit. So before we get into some details, maybe you can tell us a little bit about what initiated your interest in film?
Well, actually, funnily enough, the reason I first became so interested in film is a movie about kids making a weird movie. It was
Nice.
Super 8.
Oh,
I
yeah,
just,
Super
yeah.
8.
I just remember watching with some friends, and I was like, they were making like some weird zombie
Yeah,
movie, and I was like, that seems cool.
It's kind of like that Cloverfield. Like it was kids with the movie was like in the perspective of a kid holding a camera, right?
Some of it, yes.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah,
remember.
I was like, that was kind of cool. And then so like I saw that, and then over the next month or so after that, I sat down and wrote the worst thing I ever read, which was the first script I ever wrote. And it's sometimes I find pages of it, and it's just, boy, it was in a mess.
Oh,
But that was
it'll
the first thing. Yeah,
It'll be worse someday. Keep that.
Yeah. Well, you gotta start. You gotta start somewhere
Yeah.
too. You can't.
Definitely.
We're not all gonna be an amazing artist right off the bat, right?
That's
it
true.
Takes,
Oh, yeah.
It takes practice. and
10,000
commitment
hours,
and-
so they say.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit. Give us a little synopsis of the movie. What's the movie about?
so the movie is about a teenage boy who starts having these dreams of a man with a deer head, and then the whole point of it being that the sort of line between reality gets blurred because he starts seeing it in his waking days, and it's about how that interferes with his daily life.
Wow.
Wow, nice. Yeah. And I got the chance to watch this movie. Have you seen this yet, Mr. Herney?
I have not. I did not get a chance. To
Yeah, we
watch
should
it.
put a link up to it. But very powerful, very conceptual and artistic, very creative. I really liked it.
Thank you.
Very cool that you're doing that sort of thing. So can you tell us a little bit about process? I really like creative process, learning about how people go about their creations. What did that entail for you?
So, I mean, the first thing for me was trying to get started with it, and the reason I sort of chose to get started with it is just because I knew that in trying to pursue this, I wanted to have a little more to offer than just I'm a high school student who's interested in doing this, so I wanted to do something concrete. And I found out about the Maumee Film Fest, and I said, okay, I could do something for that. I have a year. So I sort of sat down and just started to come up with ideas, and I had this idea. I'd probably written about a page or so of it before, and I just decided that this was going to be the thing I expanded on. And over time, it built up, and I started with looking at sort of the just like making it into a 2 or 3 act structure, and then fitting everything I wanted to fit in, and see what I had to cut and what I could write and what I couldn't. And one of the most I suppose one of the most important parts of the process for me was a great piece of advice I found, which was about knowing your resources. So for me,
Right.
that came in the form of realizing that I had to stick to probably one location and as few people as possible as I could involve, because of course I'm a high school student with not a lot of money.
Yeah. And you have your own camera, and you did the camera work and stuff?
Yep, I
Yeah.
did. I was behind the camera the whole time.
And all the video editing.
Yeah, and that was another experience. I did not really have as much experience knowing how painful editing was until that.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
That whole process. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did you find actors to play? Because you had what, three or four?
4. Yep.
4, yeah.
Actually, all 4 of them were people that I knew were involved in like theater in my area.
Okay,
So
cool.
I had all of them were from our musical, which is obviously a great thing for me to be like, oh, cool, I know people that can act. So I kind of
Right.
just reached out to people that I was already close to and that I knew could do a good job with things.
Yeah, that's
And
great.
Thankfully, they all agreed to do it, and for literally nothing on my part. So the scheduling was something to work out from time to time, but I'm very thankful that they all agreed to be involved.
Yeah, that's great. I can't imagine what it takes when you have thousands of people working on a film
Yeah.
to match up
Yeah.
all
He
that scheduling.
even had the strength to not go by the industry cameo standards
Yeah.
of Stan Lee and
Oh,
M.
that was just-
Night Shyamalan.
Yeah, Alfred Hitchcock.
From my understanding, you decided to not. You're not in it at all, right? Because you're
I
the
am
only
not.
guy running the camera.
Yeah,
so
I was
you
the only
have
one behind
to-
the camera, so it was and that in itself presented several challenges, and then I couldn't, we had to finish things up before I was able to say, is it possible we do that again in a different way?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we had to finish things up behind the camera, and I had to make sure that the camera settings were always right, because there were a lot of times. There was actually, the first time we met to shoot, I was very happy with how quickly it went, because we got through every single scene that was in this specific location. And then I went back and checked and found out that I hadn't had my microphone on at all. So
Oh, no.
everything we had filmed had no sound.
Well, don't worry, man. I know the feeling of that with this
Yeah.
podcast creation.
Yes, always technical difficulties, of course. So what was it like watching your film at the festival, people watching it alongside you? What was that like?
It was a terrifying experience,
Yeah.
frankly. I had watched it a few times, obviously, before I submitted it, but it's not something I think that I'll ever, like, it'll be a while before I look back and kind of enjoy it or see, maybe when I'm, like, have a chance to look back and see that where things started. But as of right now, it always sticks out, like, this could have been slightly different. That could
Yeah.
have been better lighting. Could have had more sound, things like that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, that's kind of like the plight of a creator, right?
Right.
The plight of anyone who's directing or creating anything. And I mean, that's what keeps you going, right? Kind of like looking back and thinking, all right, now that I have a little bit more skill, now that I have a little bit more experience, here's some changes that I would have liked to see if I had a unlimited budget. Here's what I would have liked to
and
do.
time too. At some
Oh,
point,
yeah.
you got to tie it
Yeah.
off, right? You got to just.
I think it was a big learning experience for me in terms of just the technical side of things, like editing and making sure that because it's easy to work with. It's a little easier to work with the camera. For me, I really like writing, so that's an easy part for like that. I would consider an easy part of the process.
Okay.
Where I really struggled with it was dealing with sound for the first time and editing.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it points out to me that there are a lot of faults, or like there are some things that even from the writing standpoint, it's like that could have taken longer, that could have been better developed. But there's always things that are just going to stick out to me. So can't necessarily say that I enjoy watching it time and time again, but I can say I was probably fairly proud of the final product.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So how about through the whole process? Was there one thing, now looking back at it, was there one thing that you were like, wow, like, I'm not even sure I can believe that I was able to do that. Like, one thing that you're so proud of through that process.
There are, I think, a few things I look back on when I get through the whole processing. The final product is enough for me to sort of stand back and say, wow, I can't believe I was capable of doing that. But I think even for our actors too, it's there are certain things that I look back on with performance and the way things are sort of set up that I just think like I don't even like. I try to think back to why did I do that this way, and I try to remember why. And oftentimes I cannot, but I'm proud of what ended up there because from the actor standpoint, from the technical standpoint, it looks, sounds, and feels really good to watch at certain points that I'm just very proud of. There's actually sort of specific segment there. There's a dream sequence which was fairly simple editing, more of just layering the same clip on top of itself and then making the other ones dimmer. But at least I thought it was going to be simple, and then it kept crashing my computer. And so once I got through that final product and I looked at it, it was like, that is exactly what I had in my head when I wanted that to happen. So I was very proud of that.
Yeah, nice.
That's amazing to
Yeah,
be able
that-
to see, something conceptual that finally becomes like the reality of your
it's gotta be
product.
awesome.
Satisfying, right?
Yeah, very satisfying. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm interested to know a little bit about how your experience at St. John's Jesuit contributed to your filmmaking. I mean, we don't have a film program here. We don't even really have any classes that address film necessarily, as much as that would be amazing. Can you speak to that at all? How your experience here has contributed to your creative process or filmmaking?
Yeah, I mean, I think that without St. John's, I don't think I ever would have gotten to this point because, of course, we have the idea of the Modus here, which is something I was very introduced to very early on in my career here.
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of my idea going into setting up the project and writing everything down and making sure that this is something that actually happened. It was this idea that I could do more for myself and for setting myself up for competing in the future for, obviously, a highly competitive industry. So it was sort of along those lines that I started the project. And then you spoke earlier about us not having really any film-related classes, things like that. There's another one of those things where I just kind of trusted that St. John's would help me out, and I ended up setting up an independent study over the course of the first semester of my senior year.
Oh, that's right.
yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. Okay.
Yeah, so I was, and of course, it came through and all worked out, and it went very, very well for me, so I'm very happy for that working out, and I think that was another one of those things where I was just like, I can trust St. John's to help me get this done and for it to be a good experience.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's coming unfortunately for us, I guess,
Yeah,
it's coming
big
to
loss here.
it's coming to an end of your high school career.
We have to say
What's the
goodbye.
plans for the future?
Well, right now the plan is that I will be going to Ithaca College next fall to study film there, which
That's
I'm very
incredible.
excited about. It's a beautiful place, and I really like it there.
Wow, awesome, man.
Very cool. That's upstate New York.
Yes, yep, right near
Wow.
Cornell. It's beautiful.
That's fantastic.
That will be gorgeous.
I think
Yeah.
that's great.
Without
Way
a
to go,
doubt.
man. Pursue your interests and passions. That'll be. I think you'll excel. You'll thrive.
Thank you.
Definitely. Well, I think that's all that we have for you today, Cadigan. We appreciate you coming out during your lunch and a little bit of into your study hall as well, to come talk with us and let the community know
Yeah.
a little bit about what our students are up to.
Absolutely. So cool to hear about all that.
Of course, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Cadigan.
For our final segment, we'll be interviewing 2 young men who participate in the Christian Service program.
So we're here today with Daryl Alexander and
Josh Jerwa.
who are going to be talking to us a little bit today about Christian service.
Christian Service Program.
So do you guys want to tell us a little bit about what the Christian service program actually is?
Well, the Christian Service Program is for juniors and seniors at St. John's, and it allows you to go off campus once a week and during the school day, or if you can also do it on weekends if it doesn't fit your schedule during the school week, and you can go off campus and serve others very different ways. I know kids who go to soup kitchens or kids who tutor kids less fortunate, so there's a lot of different ways to participate in it.
Very nice. And is this during the school day?
For most kids, yes, but then some kids will go on the weekends if it doesn't fit their schedule.
So maybe before we get into some details of your guys' experiences, you can tell us a little bit about the reasoning you had. Why did you decide to do Christian service? DJ, you're a junior, so this is probably a relatively new thing for you. What made you participate in the program?
What made me participate in it was that, like, freshman and sophomore year, we, like, go, like, you pick sort of the place you go to. And, like, I enjoyed it, but, like, I feel like if I did Christian service, I would enjoy it more, which I actually do. I enjoy going, like, where I go to serve at more than me just going to, like, I went to Glendale Assisted Living Center, and, like, I enjoyed being there. I wanted to do something different, so going to Christian service, that's what really led me to go to Christian service.
So, Jerwell, where do you go? Where do you currently serve at for Christian service?
I serve at Reynolds Elementary School, but I work in the mentally and physically fragile unit. It's the only mentally, physically fragile unit in the whole Toledo Public School area. So I feel like I work with those kids, help them read.
All right, and we have a lot of different agencies. If it's people who are usually, I mean, typically marginalized in some way. If it's elderly or people with some form of disability, or even poverty. Why did you choose to go towards the medically fragile? What kind of called you into serving with them?
Well, at first they weren't on the main list. Mr. Scully gives you a list when you choose to do Christian service, and they weren't on the list. But me and my partner Leo Baca, our original plan fell through, and Mr. Skelton came to us with this opportunity because he usually picks about 2 people a year to do it. And we started last year, and he picked us because he thought we could handle it because it's a little bit tougher because the kids you're working with can't really talk. At first, it was really tough, but we kind of found out that, we kind of love doing it, and it's really nice.
So how long have you been serving there?
Well, we started off last year, junior year, and we're still doing it this year through senior year.
So have you done it 3 semesters worth of
Yes,
service?
this is our 4th right now.
So all 4 semesters?
Yeah, at first I didn't really.
Nice.
At first I kind of did Christian service, get the hours done.
Right.
And I got out of class to be completely
Get your
honest
service
with you.
hours.
Well, that's kind of like the classic Ignatian. Let them in
Yeah.
through their door.
That's true.
They leave out ours.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So and then afterwards, when me and Leo went, like I said, they were mentally and fragile.
Right.
So they can't really talk. So it was really hard at first, but then going over time, it kind of got to the point where we started communicating with them. Like when we walked in, they would smile.
Wow.
And it was kind of like when we left, it wasn't really like there was one time me and Leo, we go to 3 different rooms.
Yeah.
We went to one room, and there's this girl, whenever she sees us, she just smiles. And we left that room, went to the other one. About 5 minutes later, the same girl was wheeled down in a wheelchair to that room, and with her TA, and the TA rolled in, and she was like, and then she was like, she's been crying ever since you guys left.
Aw.
And then she
It's heartbreaking.
she rolled back in, and she just had the biggest smile on her face when she saw
she
us.
just wanted to see you guys.
So-
So you just kind of interact with them
Yeah.
while you're there, socialize.
Yeah, we play
and
games
get
with
to know
them. It's
play
kind of
games.
like
Yeah.
if we play Uno, we show them a card, they smile. That's the one they want.
Right.
So
probably pretty challenging.
Yeah,
right?
at first it was, but I think now it's just
Yeah.
it's what we love
That's
doing.
like the
so.
importance. That's
That's
like
super cool.
ministry of presence, right? Like
Right.
maybe they can't communicate, but still being there and serving with
Yeah.
them and being alongside them. DJ, tell me a little bit about your agency.
I go to Queen of Apostles. And we first semester we work with third and fourth graders, and then that changed second semester to being with third and seventh graders because we changed our hours. Like working with like the seventh graders, we're not there, like we don't do it like all the time, but like there is just like they're usually doing math and stuff. Like the teacher usually has like sit between like certain students because they don't pay attention.
Got to keep them on track.
Yeah, but we mainly work with the third grade class, which has like when we like do reading stuff, like you can tell like these are really good ones. You don't really have to do too much. These are ones where you got to take like more time into and like be more patient with, because it's like certain students, like I know I get like certain students and like I know like when we're going to go do reading or we're going to do some, like they'll want to like run around and like play around before they even want to do the work.
Oh yeah.
So it's just like more like just having patience with them.
Yeah. That's not too different from
High school.
how you guys behave in my classroom, I think sometimes, right? Get a little appreciation for our perspective, DJ, do you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
That's
so
great,
Queen
yeah.
of Apostle is a CCM.
So
You're alumni from there as
yeah,
well, or
so-
alumnus.
So I know how it is being in their
Yeah.
position. So
Nice.
it's not really hard.
Very nice.
So maybe you can tell us a little bit about what you think your impact is for the people you serve when you go into your agency. What do you think you're providing by giving your time? DJ, you want to start?
I feel like my impact is like getting them to like understand like the importance that school brings, and like trying to like build like relationships with them, because like some of the students, they'll talk to you about personal things that's going on, or like things that are going on like in their life, and like sometimes like you can tell like they don't really want to be at school and like they don't really care. So it's more like trying to get to them and like let them understand like, yeah, it's always time to have fun, but you
Yeah.
also have to like be ready to like learn. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's what comes with going to school. So
Yeah.
more of just like getting like finding ways like you can impact their life.
Yeah. Definitely. So what about you, Jerwa? What do you think your impact is on the people you serve?
I think my impact is really big on the kids, of course, but I feel like it goes a lot bigger than that and goes kind of like the big impact on not only them but also their families,
Mm.
because I can imagine how tough it is to like be in that condition, and that's kind of like giving me like just like thank God more for what
Yeah.
I have and what He's given me, and knowing that they have to send their kids to school every single day like that, like not knowing like no, they can't do a lot of stuff on their own,
Right.
and knowing that they have me, like I can take care of them, I can help them do certain things. I feel like that's who I'm like benefiting the most.
Yeah, that's great. So you kind of alluded to this a little bit in your response to that, but how it affects you? Are you saying graciousness?
Oh yeah,
makes you
just being more
grateful?
thankful for what God
Yeah.
gave me, because like I said, the first couple of weeks we were there was kind of eye opening, and just like I could never imagine like being like this. Or
Is this something that maybe in college or after college, is this something that you feel might be a calling for you?
maybe I've always thought like ever since I started doing this. Of course, I did like a year last year, and ever since I started doing it, I've always just kind of had the thought like, I kind of like put in my mind that I want to give back more when I'm out of college, and like when I'm in college, continue to do service. Because like I said, before Christian service, I just did it for the hours, get out of school.
Right.
Now it's because I love doing it, and I love the kids I work with, even though they can't talk to me and interact with me. But
All right, DJ. So why don't you tell me how do you think the service impacts you throughout your years here? You've done a few service opportunities, but now you're in your junior year. When you're going out to your agency, what kind of impact does it make on you? Do you feel like it makes any?
I feel like it's made more of an impact on me doing Christian service than what I've done in the past, because now, like in the past, I'll just work with like the elderly. Like, yeah, that takes patience, but it's different when you're working with like third graders, because they come with like a lot of energy and they just want to play around and stuff. So I feel like it's had a way bigger impact on me, and like how I like looking at things, like how I like look into certain situations like with them. Like I would understand more of why they will act the way they do, because when I was their age, I would do the same thing too.
Yeah.
So
A little perspective.
So it's easier. It's kind of easier working with little kids than I found working with the elderly, but I enjoy it more working with the little kids.
Nice. Something you'll stick with, you think, doing Christian service the rest of your time here?
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. That is wonderful. I think that's carry it with you, man.
So, Jerwa, a question that I have is, for any freshman or sophomore who's looking up to you guys thinking, wow, like they're all wearing these blue polos that say Christian service. They're coming back to school with Chipotle. Like I'm kind of interested in this program. What would you say to any like junior or freshman or sophomore that's thinking, I might be interested in this program, but I'm a little bit nervous to kind of go do it?
I would say you're out of school. It gives you opportunities to open up and be open. Don't be scared. It's by far probably my favorite thing I've done at St. John's. It's really opened me to a lot of new things. And don't do it for the Chipotle and the polo. Every once a week, do it to help people, because if you buy in and if you buy into your service, then it'll open up to a whole new mind of yours, and just how much like the whole caring aspect will just keep.
Yeah, that's great advice. Well, that's awesome. Thanks so much for giving up your time to record with us, and also for your service. It sounds like you're doing great things, so thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
Well, I think that is the end of our inaugural episode of Titan Talk. What do you think, Mr. Harani?
We made it through.
We did make it through. Pretty awesome information we heard, don't you think?
Yeah, without a doubt. Across the board, hearing about students, if it's sports or the arts or service, they're active all over our community.
Absolutely. There's so much going on at St. John's. It all deserves celebration. So if you want to learn more about any of the features from today's episode, please feel free to explore the Titan Talk website, which you can find by way of the St. John's Jesuit website at sjjtitans.org. We have a few links to some of the information we've shared today. If they want to know more about St. John's Jesuit, Mr. Harani, what should they do?
You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We're on all of the social media websites. We're constantly posting anything about our students, admissions, anything that you could ever want to know about St. John's. So make sure you give us a follow.
And please listen next time. A new episode of Titan Talk will arrive shortly. Go Titans.
Go Titans.